over 300 songs to choose from. How do you chose the set list? Because I was surprised, positively surprised by the songs that you were playing. Actually, songs from Pornography, for example. I didn't expect you to play those songs.
Well, for Cure fans, which is really the hardest part of a festival is, I have to say to the others, we're just part of an event. We really are. There may be some people who have just bought a ticket to come and see us, but really we have to go on stage believing that most people here are here to have an experience, and we're part of that experience. It doesn't matter if they think we're the best band, or we need to be a great part of their experience. In the old days, I had a much more competitive attitude, when I was younger, as most young bands do, and I thought, like, we're going to be the best.
Which is okay, of course.
Yeah, you have to be like that, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. But it would be dreadful to be like that now. I mean, I obviously want people to think we're the best band, but if they don't, I don't feel too upset, because maybe there are other bands who they like more, so I'm a bit more mature in that respect.
I was 17 when I was here in 1986, and especially 17 Seconds, Faith, Pornography, those were the albums in those days that were very, very special and very precious to me, and they still are. This might be a hard question, but there will be a day when the Cure is not there anymore, when the band is not there anymore. You're still there. But that day is going to come, Robert. But what if you look in hindsight? What was the significance of your band that has already been around since the 70s, and you still played a big show over here? What is the significance of your band? Is it something you can say something about?
I think going back to what I said earlier, that our first show was our first show in Europe, mainland Europe, was in Holland. It was on the back of it. I think 17 Seconds did really well in Holland. I think we had like a #1 album, and it was like we were sitting at home thinking, what? The Dutch must be really wise people, we must go there more. So it's that sense, and as we reached out into the wider world, we realised that different people like different things that we did, but the common thread through everything is that we've maintained an audience, I think, because there's something at the heart of what we do that's real. It's essentially that. There's nothing that we do that I don't believe in. Yeah. And I mean, in some ways people think it's, we're lucky because we've kind of been successful, but it isn't really lucky, because the passion that we've engendered in an audience, like generation after generation, is to do with the songs that we play and the way that they're played and the way that they're written, the way that they're sung. It's as simple as that. It's like when we play shows, sometimes there are like 15-year-olds or even younger that it's their first show, and they come to a Cure show because they've heard something that we recorded before their mum and dad was born. So it doesn't surprise me, because in much the same way when I was growing up, I loved music that by long dead people, and I still do. I don't think I need to have who's the latest band. It's what's at the heart of music. It's something almost indefinable, and it's that. But I know that if I don't feel that about what we do, I'll stop. So there will be a point. But I mean, even now, it's very difficult for me mentally, if I'm honest, to kind of get myself to this level again, to walk out on stage in front of people and to do this. It's a really weird feeling for me, because I haven't done this for a long time, and I almost kind of settled into a very quiet kind of existence, and I'm forcing myself
going back in there.
But I really love it when I'm doing it. But it's a strange job.
Strange schisma between your life now and this thing that you know so well.
Because the last thing I want to do is to I've always got this tiny young voice in my head saying, "Don't fuck it up, please stop before you fuck it up." So I will. So we're obviously we know we're nearer the end than we are the beginning, but I hope it's not quite yet.
Can we go back in time, not a little, but 26 years? Because I was 17 years old when I was standing here in the crowd, and you were standing on stage.
I was 12.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that gig at the Pinkpop Festival?
Strangely enough, the guy who's doing lights for us today, he's called Mac, and he started out with us right in the late 70s, and our first ever show in Europe was actually in Holland, and we used to travel together in a battered old bus and stuff, and he stayed with us for a few years and then went off to do other things, and we brought him back last year. We invited him back for the these reflection shows that we did last year, which were the first 3 albums. So I wanted someone who was there in the beginning, lighting us, to give us a real genuine look again. And it was just almost like we hadn't seen each other for 20 years, and we just picked up the conversation where we left off. So throughout the day, there are various people who come up and said, "Yeah, I saw you." So you're not the first person to say that. If you ask me about like a specific show, it's almost impossible. But if you've got enough time, we can probably get down to it, and then something will have happened, or I have to like what year, what lineup, what songs, and then there will be a moment. There's always something. I usually need Simon to remind me of something that happened. I mean, this show I'll remember because it's like the first time with this lineup. It's kind of quite a difficult baptism, really. For although Reese is he's filling in. It's quite a big show just to step in and.
I can imagine. What's the biggest difference? Let's say, well, obviously, it's the age. You're a bit older, but let's say the preparation for a show 20 years ago and the preparation that you do right now. What's the biggest difference?
The most obvious difference would be that throughout the course of the band's career, probably up until maybe 6 or 7 years ago, when Paul rejoined. We were working kind of pretty constantly, and I think that's the difference. Whereas probably in maybe the last 10 years, actually, you either fight against getting older, like constantly, and you fight against your life developing, and you fight against your family growing older, some of your family dying, your life changing, and the group that you're in reflecting that, or you fight to keep everything the same, or pretend everything's the same, and you just keep, and I've chosen the first route because I find it suits me better. And so the first 20 years or so of playing, there is very little else outside of,
organic.
Of music.
Just growing all that organically.
So if someone says we go and play a show tomorrow, we just go and play because we know the songs. It's a lineup. It's a band. Now the preparation is much more focused on. I mean, it's different in a number of ways. One is that we're not although we played quite a few shows last year, we've only played 10 shows in the last 3 years, and this lineup's never played any shows.
It's new,
So it's almost like starting from scratch, but with a catalogue of like 300 plus songs. So then you're thinking like, well, so what should we do? Because we can come here, we can pretty much play. We could play a set based on last year that was all songs from 1970s and early 1980s, or we could play everything from the 1990s.
Until now,
It's ridiculous, really.